Hi, Amy with AJ's Vintage Designs and Fashion Toppings here. Gonna be painting some kitchen cabinets, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is to do it yourself. Now, today I'm gonna actually be using Dixie Belle's new silk line that's gonna be coming out in the US first quarter 2021, so early 2021. But I wanna show you in advance. Now, you can also do the same thing with Dixie Belle's regular chalk mineral-based paint, but I am using their silk line as a demo today because this has the primer and the top coat already built in. So it's gonna be quick and easy. It is a mineral paint. This isn't necessarily a chalk paint, it's a mineral paint. But they also have their chalk base line, which is their usual Dixie Belle line, which is chalk mineral based. Don't wanna confuse you. So today we're sticking with the silk. Like I said, brand new paint product that's coming out with Dixie Belle, and it'll be out first quarter 2021. So excited. So I'm demonstrating with my cabinets. Now this is my workshop out in my garage. First thing you need to do is, I'm gonna be painting these black. But first thing you need to do is you need to thoroughly clean your cabinets. Now you have the option of taking each door off and working, with all the doors off. But if you do that, make sure you label the inside of the doors so that you know where to put it back, so you have the right door in the right spot. I'm gonna be able to get this whole area done in the matter of one evening. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you need to do is you need to clean them thoroughly. That is very important. I'm not gonna do any sanding. I'm just gonna clean them thoroughly, and you can see there's a little bit of a factory finish on these. You can see the shine there. I'm not worried about that. If you have a really, really high shine to your cabinets, you can scuff sand it with like a 180 or 220 grit sandpaper, just lightly scuff over it just to knock a little bit of that gloss off, but you don't have to sand it down to raw wood. But this, I'm not sanding at all because this is not that glossy. I'm gonna be able to paint right over it. So first thing is, I'm gonna clean it. You need to use a TSP based cleaner, and I'm gonna be using Dixie Belle's White Lightning. It's a granule cleaner that you mix yourself, so you're not paying for someone else's water. I'm gonna be cleaning these with White Lightning. I'm gonna be using a little Scotch-Brite pad to make sure I really get, this is my workshop, this is dirty. So I'm going to be cleaning it really well, and then after we clean, we have to make sure that we rinse. You do not wanna leave a cleaner on your piece because that's gonna cause a residue in areas, and then your paint is adhering to the residue and not your furniture piece or your cabinet. So make sure you take the time to, after you clean, to thoroughly rinse with a clean rag and clean water. Okay, so I'll fast forward through this, but you'll get to see the process. Okay, so you can see that they were pretty dirty. So now it's time to rinse. I'm gonna throw away that rag and I'm gonna use a new one for rinsing. I got myself a water bottle. It's a misting bottle, so I'm just gonna spray it down with water. Just water. Get it all sprayed down. Okay, and I'll get the sides and all of that off camera, but I want you to be able to see what I do. So now I'm rinsing, and while we're rinsing, we're looking at our rag to see if there's any dirt on our rag. If we still continue as we wipe to get a dirty rag, then we're gonna wanna keep cleaning. But if your rag looks fairly clean, then we're good to go after we do the rinsing. We'll let it dry, and then we'll be able to start painting right away. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this step to all of these doors here, and then we're gonna begin to paint. Now, just remember, make sure you rinse, you get in all the nooks and crannies, make sure your rag is clean, and then you can continue on. So let me go ahead and finish these up, and then we'll be back to start painting. Okay, so my cabinets are clean and dry, and the reason I like to let them dry before we start painting is after it dries, you might be able to see an area that might have a little haze on it where it looks like it's still a little bit of a residue. Maybe you didn't wipe it and get all that cleaner off. So I like to let it dry first so I can see when the light hits it if there's any area that needs to be wiped again. So it's all dry. Now with those TSP based cleaners, like Dixie Belle's White Lightning, they're a strong cleaner. You notice I was wearing a glove, took it off now, but you don't want to use those for everyday cleaning because they also act as somewhat of a deglosser. So it does help knock a little bit of that gloss off of your shiny surface. So if you don't plan on painting, I wouldn't use a TSP based cleaner on your cabinets unless you're planning on painting or doing some work to them. Okay, your paint is only gonna look as smooth as the quality of the brush you use as well. So you don't wanna be using a chip brush to apply paint or a cheap brush to apply your paint to your cabinets. You want a nice smooth finish. So I'm using the Dixie Belle Mini. It's a synthetic brush. I prefer synthetic brushes. This is just a gorgeous black, look at that. It has the primer built in and the top coat is built in, and it dries to a little bit less than a satin, but higher than a flat. So now you just need to paint. Getting in all of those nooks and crannies. I'm gonna put a thin first coat on, just to get that, what we call is a crumb coat. I'm gonna get that first coat on, nice and thin, and then I'm gonna come back after it dries, and the second coat will give me a full solid coverage. So let's just go around and paint this. You notice I'm doing like little choppy short strokes here and there to get it in all those nooks and crannies. But as soon as you get it in all those nooks and crannies, always follow up with doing a long, smooth brush stroke, so you have a smooth finish, okay? So if you have to go in and do those choppy little strokes, go back and do one long sweep with your brush. That's gonna help with brush strokes. Okay, so I'm gonna let this first coat dry on this door. I'm not gonna shut my doors because I just did the in-between, and if I shut the doors, I'll actually stick to that. So I'm gonna leave my doors cracked open, like that. I'm gonna let this first coat dry, and then I'm gonna apply a second coat. Now, the first coat, I'll bring you in. I put a thin coat on it. The up above, I still have to get that, but it's not on camera because the doors are so big. But I'll get that in just a minute. But I want to show you close up the actual first coat. So as you can see, I just put a thin coat on here. So it might look a little streaky, but that thin coat is what we call a crumb coat. So when I put on my next coat, it has something really nice to grab onto, and it's going to fill it in. So let's go ahead and let this first coat dry, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the second coat. Repeating basically the same process, just getting short strokes in here to get it all filled in, and then going back with one solid long stroke to get rid of any of the brush strokes. So let's go ahead and let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll do the next coat. Okay, I'm back, and it's later on in the evening. I'll get the light out of the way. I have one coat on this door, but as you can see, I have two coats on all the rest of the doors. But you can see the difference. See how thin I put the first coat on? And the rest of the coats fill it right in. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you the second coat. Repeating the same process. This time I'm going to be misting my piece with a little bit of water so my paint goes a little bit farther. Misting it with some water. Not a lot. I'm not getting it soaking wet. I'm just helping my paint be able to glide. And I'll be using less paint. Okay? Watch how this just fills in. That first coat is giving it a nice surface to be able to fill in the brush strokes and the thin paint from before. So I'm using the same paint. This is just the second coat, but look at how that fills in. Let me bring you up even closer. Okay, just using a little bit of paint, and I sprayed that little bit of water on there, which is helping my paint go farther. And look at how that is just filling it in. You can see up here, and you can see over here, and you can see right down here. You can see the difference. But having that water on there is just helping that paint extend farther, but having that very thin first coat, is giving my surface something to grip onto. It gives your piece a little bit of tooth. And I know you can hear my cabinet door banging, but the nice thing is by doing that thin first coat, even though it's not attractive, that first coat is streaky, I'm using much less paint because my second coat is really gonna fill it in nicely. Get over here. And this is just how I do it, so I use less paint in the long run for the whole project. I put that very thin first layer on, let it dry several hours, and that is allowing my second coat something to grip onto, and it just fills it right in. Okay, so you can see the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna get it up here. I'm getting that paint on, and then I come back and do a long strokes to make it nice and smooth. Okay, and if you do get any brush strokes, I know the light is kind of, okay, I really got the light on it right now. So if you're getting to a spot that's kind of dry and it's not, the paint isn't moving, then go ahead and mist it with a little bit more water. I'm using very little paint on my brush. Not quite tall enough for this. Get it worked in, and then my long strokes. Okay. Okay, so I got my second coat on. It's nice and smooth. This over here is dry, this is wet. So it is gonna dry to a slightly less than satin finish. But once again, I'm using Dixie Belle's new Silk. That is going to be coming out in early 2021, first quarter. But this has a primer. It has primer built in, top coat built in, and it's mildew resistant. This is a great option for your kitchen cabinets. Now, if I wanted to have additional protection, then I can put another clear coat on it, a water-based polyacrylic. I would probably use Gator Hide or Dixie Belle Satin, but I can put a clear coat on it if I want extra durability. But I'm putting this paint through the test. I am going to not seal it. I'm going to use the built-in sealer that is in it already, and I'm going to use this on my workshop, and I will check in with you guys in a couple months with as far as an update on this piece, and you'll get to see how it holds up, having daily wear and tear, tools in and out, paint coming in and out, and you're going to see how well this protects. So I'm using Dixie Belle Silk Lime right here, and I did 3 coats on the bottom, so far 2 coats on the top, and I still have paint left over. I have enough to probably do 1 more coat on the entire top. So this whole cabinet here is 91 inches long, and it's tops and bottoms. I'm gonna show you. Step back. Okay, so there's the top cabinets. That first door is wet, the rest of them are dry. It's 2 coats on the top, and I just applied that print on my countertop today in between takes with this project. And then there's the bottoms. So I have a total of 3 coats on the bottom, 2 coats on the top now, and I have not even used 16 ounces of paint. I have paint left over. I have enough paint left over that I can do 1 more coat on the top. Okay, well, there you have it. I'll put some pictures at the end from the before pictures, middle transition pictures, and then the end pictures so you can see how this all looks. I'm really excited about it. It was easy. I was able to do this in 1 day. The uppers I did in 1 evening in a matter of a few hours, and I did the bottom ones previously in another video on Facebook. But I'm really happy so far with how they turned out. Like I said, I'll put pictures at the end. And my name is Amy, and I'm with AJ's Vintage Designs and Fashion Toppings. Until next time, I hope you have a great day.